My name is Evelyn. I'm 57 years old, and right now, at this exact moment, there is a gun pointed at my chest. The man holding it is my son-in-law. He's screaming at me to sign the paper in front of me. His hand is shaking, there's sweat running down his temple. He has 72 hours before they kill him, and I'm the only thing standing between him and $200,000. But here's what he doesn't know. I've been recording every word he said for the past 6 days. My husband died 3 weeks ago. They said it was a heart attack. Natural causes. Everyone believed it, but I didn't. And the day after I buried him, our landlord called me and said, "You need to come here right now, and whatever you do, don't tell your daughter." My hand started shaking before I even hung up. Before I tell you what I found in that storage locker, before I tell you what my husband knew before he died, before I explain how I ended up in this room with a gun in my face, like this video, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Because what I'm about to tell you, I've never told anyone. And by the end of this, you'll understand why some secrets are kept even from the people we love most. The truth is coming. But first, you need to understand how I got here. 3 weeks ago, I woke up and my husband was cold beside me. Not sleeping. Cold. I remember touching his shoulder. I remember how the morning light came through the curtains the same way it always did. I remember thinking, for just a second, that maybe I was still dreaming. But I wasn't. Thomas was gone. 41 years of marriage. 41 years of waking up next to the same person. And suddenly, there's just space. Empty space that's too big and too quiet and feels like it's swallowing everything. The paramedics came. They were kind. They used words like sudden cardiac event, and he didn't suffer. And these things happen at his age. 63 isn't that old. But I nodded, I signed things. I called our daughter Claire. I watched myself move through the motions like I was outside my own body, watching some other woman whose husband had just died. The days after that are a blur. I remember his shoes by the door, brown leather loafers he'd worn for 15 years. I couldn't move them. I walked past them every day, and every time I saw them, my chest would tighten, and I'd have to remind myself to breathe. There was a coffee mug on the counter. Half finished. He'd made it the morning before he died. French roast, 2 sugars, splash of cream. I knew exactly how he took his coffee because I'd made it for him 10,000 times. I couldn't wash the mug. I couldn't throw it away. So it just sat there on the counter like he might come back and finish it. The silence in the house was unbearable. We'd lived there for 18 years. Every corner had a memory. The kitchen table where we'd eaten dinner every night. The couch where we'd watched television. The bed where he'd died. I stopped sleeping in our bedroom. I couldn't. I'd lie there and feel the empty space next to me, and it felt like drowning. People came by, neighbors, friends from church. They brought casseroles and sympathy and awkward condolences. They'd pat my hand and say things like, "He's in a better place now, and time heals all wounds." I hated them for it. Not because they were wrong. Because they made it sound simple. Like grief was something you could microwave and serve on a paper plate. Claire came by every day that first week. My daughter. My only child. 34 years old, married for 6 years to a man named Derek. She'd hug me. She'd cry with me. She'd help me sort through Thomas's things. But there was something off. I couldn't put my finger on it at first. A mother knows her daughter. I'd known Claire since before she took her first breath. I'd memorized every expression, every tone, every subtle shift in her voice. And something was wrong. She wouldn't look at me directly. When I'd try to talk about her father, she'd change the subject. She kept checking her phone. And Derek, her husband, was always there. Always hovering. Always watching. I thought maybe it was just grief. Everyone processes death differently. But it gnawed at me. The funeral was on a Thursday. The kind of day that feels like the universe is acknowledging that something terrible has happened. I stood at the front of the chapel and looked at Thomas's casket and tried to reconcile the fact that the man I'd loved for 4 decades was inside a wooden box and I'd never see him again. People spoke. His brother gave a eulogy. A colleague from the accounting firm where he'd worked for 30 years said something about his dedication and integrity. I barely heard any of it. What I did notice was Claire. She sat in the front row, 3 seats away from me. Derek was next to her, his hand on her knee, gripping it too tight. I could see his knuckles were white. She wasn't crying. She was staring straight ahead, jaw clenched, barely breathing. I leaned over to take her hand, and Derek intercepted me. He gave me this smile, this tight, controlled smile, and said, "She's okay, Evelyn. Just let her have her space." Since when did my daughter need space from me? After the service, people gathered outside. There were handshakes and hugs and more casseroles. I stood there in my black dress, playing the part of the grieving widow, while my mind kept circling back to Claire. She and Derek left early. They didn't say goodbye. They didn't even make eye contact. I watched them walk to their car, Derek's hand on the small of her back, steering her like she was a piece of furniture. She got in the passenger seat and stared out the window, and they drove away. My best friend, Margaret, stood next to me. She'd known me since college. She'd been at my wedding. She was one of the few people in the world I trusted completely. She saw me watching them leave. "Something's not right with that girl," Margaret said quietly. I nodded. "I know. You think it's just grief? I don't know what it is. But I felt it. In my gut. The same way you feel a storm coming before the sky turns dark." That night, I went home to the empty house and sat in the kitchen and stared at Thomas's coffee mug. And I cried. Not the polite, quiet crying I'd been doing in front of people. The ugly, choking, body-shaking kind of crying that comes from somewhere so deep you didn't even know it existed. I cried until I couldn't breathe. Until my throat was raw. Until there was nothing left. And then my phone rang. 8 to 11:30. The landlord call, inciting incident. It was almost midnight. I didn't recognize the number, but something made me answer. "Mrs. Carver?" The voice was male. Older. Nervous. "Yes. This is Bill Morrison. Your landlord." I sat up straighter. Bill owned the building where Thomas had rented a small office space for his consulting work. I'd met him maybe twice in 15 years. "Mr. Morrison, is something wrong?" There was a long pause. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. "I need you to come to the office tomorrow morning. Early. 7 a.m. "Why?" I can't explain over the phone. My heart started pounding. "Mr. Morrison, my husband just died. If this is about clearing out his office, It's not about that." His voice dropped lower. "Mrs. Carver, your husband left something here. Something he wanted you to have if anything ever happened to him." The room felt colder. "What are you talking about?" "I can't say more. Not on the phone. But you need to come alone." "Alone? Don't tell your daughter. Don't tell anyone. This is important." "Mr. Morrison, you're scaring me." "Good." He paused. "That means you're paying attention. 7 a.m. Come to the back entrance. I'll be waiting." He hung up. I sat there in the dark kitchen, holding the phone, my hand shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Thomas left something for me. Something he only wanted me to have if he died. Why? What did he know? I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, running through every possible scenario. Maybe it was just paperwork. Maybe it was a life insurance policy I didn't know about. Maybe it was nothing. But Bill Morrison's voice kept echoing in my head. "Don't tell your daughter." Why not? What did Claire have to do with this? 11:30 to 1500 hours. Interfere conflict. By 6:30 the next morning, I was in my car, driving across town to Thomas's old office building. My hands were trembling on the steering wheel. Part of me thought this was insane. Bill Morrison was 70 years old. He could be confused. He could be mistaken. Thomas had been dead for less than 2 weeks. Maybe this was just some administrative thing blown out of proportion. But another part of me, the part that had watched my daughter avoid my eyes at the funeral, the part that had felt something wrong in the air for days now, that part knew this was real. Thomas had left me something, and he'd made sure no one else would find it. The office building was in an older part of town. Red brick, for stories, built sometime in the 60s. Thomas had rented a small space on the 3rd floor for his freelance accounting work. He'd used it as a quiet place to meet clients, away from the distractions of home. I'd only been there a handful of times over the years. I pulled into the parking lot. It was empty except for one car, a beat-up sedan I assumed was Bill's. The back entrance was propped open. I got out of my car. The morning air was cold. My breath came out in small clouds. I felt like I was walking into something I couldn't walk back out of. Bill Morrison was waiting just inside the door. He looked worse than I remembered. Thinner. Pale. Dark circles under his eyes. "Mrs. Carver." He nodded. "Mr. Morrison." "Follow me." We walked through the narrow hallway, past the old elevator, up the back stairwell. He didn't say a word. Just climbed the stairs slowly, one hand on the railing. When we reached the 3rd floor, he led me past Thomas's old office to a storage room at the end of the hall. He unlocked it with a key from his pocket. Inside was a small, windowless room. Shelves lined with boxes. Old files. maintenance supplies. And in the corner, a metal lockbox. Bill pointed to it. He brought that here 6 months ago. Said if anything ever happened to him, I was supposed to call you. No one else. Just you. My throat went dry. Did he say what's in it? No. But he paid me a year's rent in advance to keep it here. Cash. And he made me promise not to tell a soul. I stared at the box. It was about the size of a large shoebox. Gray metal. Padlock on the front. Where's the key? I asked. Bill reached into his pocket and handed me a small brass key. He said you'd know what to do with it. I took the key. It was cold in my hand. Bill stepped back. I'll give you some privacy. Wait. He stopped. Did my husband seem scared? When he brought this here? Bill hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, he did. He left the room and closed the door behind him. I was alone. I knelt down in front of the lockbox. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key into the lock. But I did. It turned. The lock clicked open. I lifted the lid. Inside was a small stack of items. A leather-bound journal, a USB drive, a manila envelope, and a photograph. I picked up the photograph first. It was a picture of Claire and Derek at a restaurant. Recent. Within the last few months. They were sitting at a table, and Derek was leaning in close to someone I didn't recognize. A man. Younger. Slick back hair. Expensive suit. On the back of the photo, in Thomas's handwriting, Derek meeting with Vincent Salazar. March 14th. Second meeting this month. I didn't know who Vincent Salazar was. But Thomas had thought it was important enough to document. I set the photo down and picked up the journal. The first page was dated 6 months ago. Thomas's handwriting. Neat. Precise. If you're reading this, Evelyn, it means I'm gone. And it means you need to know the truth. My vision blurred. I kept reading. I've been tracking financial irregularities in Claire's accounts for the past 8 months. Money moving in and out. Large sums. Patterns that don't make sense. At first, I thought it was a mistake. But the more I looked, the more I realized it was intentional. My stomach dropped. Derek has been siphoning money from Claire's trust fund. Small amounts at first. Then larger. He's been covering it up with fake transactions, shell accounts, altered statements. I flipped the page. I confronted him 3 weeks ago. Told him I knew what he was doing. He denied it. Said I was paranoid. But I saw the look in his eyes. He knows I know. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the journal. I've been documenting everything. Bank records. Emails. Text messages. It's all on the USB drive. But Evelyn, I need you to understand something. Derek isn't just stealing money. He's in debt. Serious debt. Gambling. I found records of transactions with a loan shark named Vincent Salazar. Derek owes him over $300,000. $300,000. Oh God. Claire doesn't know. I'm certain of that. He's been keeping her in the dark. But Evelyn, I'm scared. I've been having chest pains for the past 2 weeks. I went to the doctor. He said it's stress. But I don't think it's just stress. The next line made my blood run cold. I think Derek is poisoning me. I stopped breathing. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds insane. But my symptoms started right after I confronted him. Dizziness. Nausea. Irregular heartbeat. I've been careful about what I eat and drink. But he's been at the house. He's had access. I turned the page with trembling fingers. I've left all the evidence here because I don't trust that it's safe at home. If something happens to me, you need to take this to the police. You need to protect Claire. Derek is dangerous. He's desperate. And desperate men do terrible things. The journal entry ended there. I sat back on my heels, the journal in my lap, my heart hammering against my ribs. Thomas thought Derek was poisoning him. And 3 days later, Thomas was dead. I don't know how long I sat there in that storage room. It could have been minutes. Could have been hours. All I could think about was Thomas, lying in bed next to me, dying slowly while I slept. And Derek. Derek, who'd been at our house every day that last week. Derek, who'd brought over coffee. Derek, who'd insisted on helping with everything. Derek, who'd killed my husband. I picked up the USB drive with shaking hands. I needed to see what was on it. I needed proof. I stood up, shoved everything back into the lockbox, and carried it out of the storage room. Bill was waiting in the hallway. "Are you okay?" he asked. I wasn't okay. I would never be okay again. But I nodded. "I need to go. Do you need help with?" "No." I carried the box down the stairs, out to my car, and drove home. When I got there, I locked every door, closed every curtain. Then I sat down at Thomas's desk and plugged the USB drive into his old laptop. The drive contained dozens of files. Bank statements, screenshots of text messages, photos, audio recordings. I started with the bank statements. Claire's trust fund, the one Thomas had set up for her when she was born. It should have had nearly $400,000 in it. It had $60,000, $340,000 gone, transferred out in increments over the past 2 years. Small amounts at first, $5,000 here, $10,000 there, then larger chunks, $30,000, $50,000, all of it funneled through shell accounts that led back to Derek. I felt sick. I opened the text messages next. Screenshots from Derek's phone. Thomas must have gotten access to it somehow. Messages between Derek and someone named Vincent. I need more time. You're out of time. Friday. Final deadline. I'll have it. I swear. You said that last month. My boss is losing patience. I'm working on it. I just need to liquidate a few more assets. Liquidate faster. There were dozens of these exchanges. Going back months. Derek was drowning. And he was using Claire's money to stay afloat. But it wasn't enough. I clicked on one of the audio files. It was a recording of a conversation. Thomas's voice and Derek's. I know what you've been doing. I don't know what you're talking about. The trust fund, Derek. I've seen the statements. I know you've been moving money. A long pause. You can't prove anything. I have bank records. I have transaction histories. I have screenshots. You've stolen over $300,000 from my daughter. Derek's voice turned cold. You think Claire's going to believe you? You think she's going to take your side over mine? This isn't about sides. This is about theft. You have no idea what you're messing with, Thomas. Is that a threat? It's a fact. You have no idea who I owe money to. You have no idea what they'll do if I don't pay. Then you should have thought of that before you started stealing from your wife. Fuck you. The recording ended. I sat there, staring at the screen, my whole body shaking. Derek had threatened Thomas. And 3 weeks later, Thomas was dead. I spent the next 2 days going through every file on that USB drive. I didn't eat. I barely slept. I just read, and listened, and watched my entire understanding of the last 2 years crumble. Derek wasn't just a gambler. He was a liar, a thief, a manipulator, and I was now certain a murderer. The more I learned, the clearer the picture became. Derek had married Claire 6 years ago. At the time, he'd seemed perfect, charming, successful. He worked in real estate, made good money, drove a nice car. But it was all a facade. The real estate business collapsed. He lost his job, started gambling to try to make up the difference. Lost more, borrowed from the wrong people. And when the debt became unbearable, he turned to Claire's trust fund. At first, it was small amounts. Amounts Claire wouldn't notice. But as the debt grew, so did the withdrawals. By the time Thomas caught on, Derek had stolen over $300,000. And Thomas confronted him. I found another audio recording. This one was from 2 weeks before Thomas died. Derek's voice, shaking with rage. You're going to ruin everything. I'm going to protect my daughter. She doesn't need protection from me. She needs protection from you. You're the one trying to control her life. I'm trying to keep her from being married to a criminal. You call the cops, Thomas, and I'll make sure Claire never speaks to you again. I'll tell her you're losing your mind, that you're paranoid, that you're trying to sabotage her marriage. She'll see the bank statements. No, she won't. Because I'll tell her you forged them. I'll tell her you're so desperate to break us up that you're making things up. A long silence. Then Thomas's voice quieter. You won't get away with this. Derek laughed. Actually laughed. I already have. That recording was dated 12 days before Thomas died. 12 days. And in those 12 days, Thomas started having symptoms. Dizziness. Nausea. Chest pains. I found Thomas's medical records in one of the folders. He'd gone to the doctor twice in that final week. Complained of heart palpitations. The doctor ran an EKG. Said it was stress. Prescribed beta blockers. But what if it wasn't stress? What if Derek had been poisoning him? I opened another file. It was a research document. Thomas had been looking up symptoms of certain poisons. Digitalis. Arsenic. Things that could mimic heart problems. He'd known. He'd known Derek was killing him. And he'd documented everything, hoping that if he died, I'd find it. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. I needed to go to the police. But then I thought about Claire. Claire, who had no idea what her husband had done. Claire, who was being controlled and manipulated and isolated. If I went to the police now, Derek would know. And who knows what he'd do to her. I needed a plan. I needed to be smart. I closed the laptop and sat back in the chair. Thomas had been smart. He'd left me everything I needed. Now I had to figure out how to use it. That night, I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. 57 years old. Gray hair. Lines around my eyes. A widow. People looked at me and saw someone fragile. Someone past her prime. Someone to be pitied. Derek saw me that way too. And that was going to be his biggest mistake. I'd spent the last 2 weeks playing the grieving widow. Crying. Accepting casseroles. Letting people take care of me. But I wasn't helpless. Thomas had left me a weapon. Information. Evidence. Proof. And I was going to use it. But I couldn't just go to the police. Not yet. Because Derek was desperate. And desperate men are dangerous. If he found out I knew, he might run. Or worse, he might hurt Claire. I needed to trap him. I needed him to confess. And I needed to do it in a way that protected my daughter. So I came up with a plan. It wasn't perfect. It was risky. It required me to play a part I'd never played before. But I'd buried my husband. I'd watched my daughter suffer. I'd uncovered the truth. And I wasn't done fighting. I called Margaret the next morning. I need your help, I said. Anything. I need you to trust me. And I need you not to ask questions. There was a pause. Evelyn, what's going on? I can't explain yet. But I will. I promise. I just need you to do exactly what I say. Okay. Go to Claire's house today. Tell her you're worried about me. Tell her I've been acting strange. Tell her you think I'm not handling Thomas's death well. Are you sure? Please, Margaret. Just do it. She agreed. 2 hours later, I got a call from Claire. Mom. Her voice was tight. Worried. Hi, sweetheart. Margaret came by. She said you're not doing well. I let my voice crack. I'm fine. You don't sound fine. It's just hard, Claire. The house is so empty. I know, Mom. I'm sorry. I should have been there more. It's okay. You have your own life. A pause. Derek and I are coming over tonight. We'll bring dinner. Perfect. You don't have to do that. We want to. That evening, they showed up at 6. Claire carried a bag of takeout. Derek stood behind her, one hand on her shoulder. I opened the door and played my part. Weaker. Older. Confused. Oh, sweetheart. You didn't have to. Claire hugged me. I felt how thin she'd gotten. How tense. We wanted to check on you, she said. Derek smiled that cold, controlled smile. How are you holding up, Evelyn? As well as can be expected. We sat down at the kitchen table. Derek served the food. I picked at mine, letting my hands shake a little. Have you been eating? Claire asked. I forget sometimes. She frowned. Mom, you need to take care of yourself. I know. Derek watched me carefully. Calculating. Have you started going through Thomas's things? He asked. There it was. A little, I said. It's hard. I can help, Derek offered. If there are financial documents or anything complicated, I'm happy to take a look. I bet you are. That's very kind, I said. But I think I can manage. Are you sure? Thomas handled a lot of your accounts, didn't he? He did. But I'm not completely helpless. I saw a flash of something in Derek's eyes. Annoyance. Claire reached across the table and took my hand. We're here for you, Mom. Whatever you need. I squeezed her hand. I know, sweetheart. After they left, I called Bill Morrison. I need another favor, I said. What kind of favor? I need you to help me set a trap. The next morning, I met with a lawyer. Not my usual lawyer. Someone Thomas had worked with. Someone I could trust. Her name was Patricia Chin. Mid-40s. Sharp. No nonsense. I showed her everything. The journal. The USB drive. The bank statements. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she sat back in her chair. This is enough to get him arrested, she said. I know. But I need more than an arrest. I need a confession. Why? Because my daughter is married to him. Because she doesn't know what he's done. Because if I go to the police now, he'll manipulate her into thinking I'm crazy. He'll turn her against me. And I'll lose her forever. Patricia nodded slowly. What are you proposing? I want to set up a fake inheritance clause. Something that makes it look like Thomas left me a large sum of money. But I can't access it without Derek's help. That's risky. I know. If he figures out it's a trap, he won't, because he thinks I'm a naive old woman who doesn't understand money. Patricia leaned forward. You're playing a dangerous game, Evelyn. I buried my husband 3 weeks ago. Dangerous is all I have left. She agreed to help. We drafted a fake document. A trust agreement. It stated that Thomas had left me $200,000 in a secure account, but I needed a cosigner to access it. And according to the document, Derek was listed as the cosigner. It was perfect bait. Next, I needed to make sure Derek knew about it. So I called Claire. Sweetheart, I need your help with something. Of course, Mom. What is it? I found some paperwork in your father's office. Legal documents. I don't understand all of it. Could you and Derek come over and take a look? Sure. When? Tonight. She hesitated. I could hear Derek's voice in the background. Tonight works, she said. They arrived at 7. I had the fake document laid out on the kitchen table. Derek's eyes went straight to it. What's this? He asked. I found it in Thomas's desk. It's some kind of trust agreement. I don't really understand it. Derek picked it up. Started reading. I watched his face. At first, nothing. Then his eyes widened slightly. This says there's $200,000 in an account, he said slowly. Is there? I asked, playing dumb. According to this, yes. Well, that's good news, isn't it? Derek kept reading. I saw the exact moment he found his name. It says I'm listed as a co-signer, he said. Are you? Apparently. Claire leaned over his shoulder. Why would Dad list Derek as a co-signer? I don't know, I said. Maybe he trusted him to help me with financial things. Derek looked at me, trying to gauge if I was serious. I gave him my best confused old lady smile. Do you think you could help me access the account? I asked. I'd have to look into it. That would be wonderful. I could really use the money. The funeral expenses were more than I expected. Derek folded the document carefully. I'll take care of it, he said. Thank you, Derek. I don't know what I'd do without you. He smiled, but his eyes were cold. Over the next week, I played my role perfectly. I shuffled when I walked. I forgot things on purpose. I let Derek believe I was falling apart. Every time he came over, I acted a little more confused, a little more helpless. And he ate it up. He started coming by more often, always with an excuse. Just checking on you, Evelyn. Brought you some groceries. Wanted to make sure you're okay. But I knew what he was really doing. He was searching, looking for Thomas's files, looking for the account information, looking for any evidence that might incriminate him. I'd hidden everything. The lockbox was in a storage unit across town. The USB drive was with Patricia. All he found were the fake documents I'd left for him. Meanwhile, I was building my case. Patricia had set up a meeting with a detective, a woman named Sarah Ortiz, 15 years on the force, specialized in financial crimes. I showed her everything. She agreed to help. We need him to confess, she said. The evidence you have is good, but a confession seals it. How do I get him to confess? Pressure. Make him think he's out of time. Make him desperate. She gave me a small recording device, about the size of a thumb drive. I could hide it anywhere. Wear it every time he comes over, she said. Record everything. I did. For 6 days, I recorded every conversation. Derek talking about the account. Derek asking questions about Thomas's financial records. Derek trying to figure out how much I knew. And I played dumb through all of it. Claire came with him sometimes. She looked worse each time I saw her. Thinner. Quieter. Derek never let her talk to me alone. One evening I tried. Claire, could you help me in the kitchen for a minute? Derek stood up. I'll help. No. Stay. Finish your coffee. Claire and I can handle it. He hesitated, then sat back down. In the kitchen, Claire started washing dishes. Sweetheart, are you okay? I asked quietly. I'm fine, Mom. You don't look fine. She didn't look at me. Just kept scrubbing a plate. Things have been stressful, she said. What things? Just work. Money. The usual. Is Derek treating you well? She stopped. Stared down at the sink. Why would you ask that? Because you're my daughter. And I worry. She turned to face me. Her eyes were red. He's fine, Mom. We're fine. But her voice cracked when she said it. I wanted to tell her everything right then. I wanted to show her the bank statements, the recordings, the proof that her husband had stolen from her and killed her father. But I couldn't. Not yet. Because Derek was in the next room. And if I tipped my hand too early, I'd lose her forever. So I just hugged her. And she cried on my shoulder. It's going to be okay, I whispered. I didn't know if I believed it. But I had to try. Everything changed on a Tuesday. Derek showed up at my house alone. No Claire. No excuse. Just Derek. He looked terrible. Unshaven. Dark circles under his eyes. Sweating even though it was cold outside. Evelyn, we need to talk. I let him in. He paced in the living room. Couldn't sit still. What's wrong? I asked. The account. The one Thomas left. I need to access it. Now. Why the rush? He turned to face me. I have some debts. Personal debts. I need to handle them quickly. What kind of debts? It doesn't matter. The point is, I can help you access that money, but I need you to sign some paperwork. What kind of paperwork? He pulled a stack of documents out of his bag. I'd been expecting this. Patricia had warned me. Once Derek knew about the account, he'd try to get me to sign something that gave him access to it. It's just a standard authorization form, he said. It allows me to act on your behalf with the bank. I should probably have my lawyer look at it first. His jaw tightened. There's no time for that. Why not? Because the account has a deadline. If we don't access it by Friday, the funds revert back to the estate. That was a lie. But I played along. Friday? That's only 3 days away. Exactly. Which is why we need to do this now. I pretended to think about it. I don't know, Derek. This feels rushed. He knelt down in front of me. Took my hands. Evelyn, I know this is hard. I know you're still grieving. But Thomas left you this money because he wanted to take care of you. Don't you want to honor his wishes? Using Thomas's name. Manipulating me. I wanted to spit in his face. Instead, I nodded slowly. Okay. I'll sign. Relief washed over his face. Thank you. He handed me a pen. I signed the papers. All of them. Every single one. And the recording device in my pocket captured every word. The next day, Derek called. Evelyn, there's a problem. What kind of problem? The bank needs additional verification. They want to meet with both of us in person. When? Tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. Okay. I'll pick you up. He arrived at 8:30. I got in his car. But we didn't drive to a bank. We drove to his house. I thought we were meeting at the bank, I said. Change of plans. We're meeting the bank representative here. We pulled into his driveway. The house was a modest 2-story in a quiet neighborhood. Claire's car was gone. Where's Claire? I asked. She's at work. He led me inside. The house was a mess. Dishes piled in the sink. Mail scattered on the counter. It smelled stale. The representative should be here soon, Derek said. Do you want some coffee while we wait? No, thank you. He poured himself a cup. His hands were shaking. We sat in the living room. Minutes passed. No one came. Derek, where is this person? They'll be here. But no one came. After an hour, I stood up. I'm going to call a cab. No. He blocked the doorway. Derek, what's going on? Sit down, Evelyn. Excuse me? His voice turned hard. Sit down. I felt a spike of fear. But I'd been expecting this. I sat. Derek paced in front of me. I need that money, he said. I need it now. I signed the papers. The papers are fake, Evelyn. There is no account. I blinked. What? You heard me. There's no $200,000. There's nothing. I don't understand. Your husband didn't leave you anything. He was broke. Spent everything on gambling debts and bad investments. That was a lie. But he needed to believe I believed it. Then why did you have me sign? Because I need leverage. He stopped pacing. Looked at me. You're going to help me. Help you with what? I know Thomas had other accounts. Retirement funds. Savings. He had money somewhere. And you're going to tell me where it is. Derek, I don't. Don't lie to me. He slammed his hand on the table. I flinched. I don't have time for this, he said. I have 72 hours before some very dangerous people come looking for me. And I need money. Now. I don't have access to. Then we'll figure it out together. He grabbed my purse. Took out my phone. What are you doing? You're going to stay here until we find what I need. You can't keep me here. He smiled. That cold, dead smile. Watch me. He locked the front door, took the keys. I was trapped. Derek kept me in his house for 2 days. He locked me in the guest bedroom at night. During the day, he forced me to sit at the kitchen table while he went through my financial records. He'd taken my purse, my phone, my wallet, but he hadn't found the recording device. It was pinned inside my jacket. Small, silent, recording everything. On the first day, he brought me food. Toast and water. Where's Claire? I asked. She's staying with a friend. Does she know I'm here? No. Derek, this is insane. You can't just keep me prisoner. I'm not keeping you prisoner. You're helping me. By force. Semantics. He went back to the computer, clicking through screens, searching for accounts that didn't exist. I watched him unravel. He barely slept, barely ate, just sat there hour after hour, looking for money that wasn't there. And I waited. Patricia knew where I was. Sarah Ortiz knew where I was. They were waiting for the right moment. On the second day, Derek's phone rang. He answered it, listened. His face went white. I told you, I'm working on it. A pause. I just need a few more days. Another pause. Please. I swear I'll have it. He hung up, threw the phone across the room. Then he looked at me. We're out of time. What do you mean? I mean they're coming tomorrow. And if I don't have the money, they're going to kill me. Who? Vincent Salazar. The man I owe. He's done waiting. Then go to the police. Derek laughed. A bitter, broken sound. The police can't help me. Then let me go. No. Derek. No. He grabbed my arm. Hard. I gasped. You're going to give me what I need, he said. One way or another. He pulled me up from the chair, dragged me into the living room. And that's when I saw it. On the coffee table. A gun. I stared at the gun. Derek saw me looking. I don't want to use it, he said. But I will if I have to. You're going to shoot me? I'm going to do whatever it takes to survive. Derek, listen to me. Killing me won't solve your problem. Maybe not. But it'll make me feel better. He picked up the gun, held it loosely. I forced myself to stay calm. Where's Claire? I asked again. I told you. You're lying. She wouldn't just leave. Not without talking to me. Derek's expression shifted. Guilt. She's upstairs, he said quietly. My heart stopped. What? She's upstairs. In the bedroom. Is she okay? She's fine. Just confused. Let me see her. No. Derek, please. If you're going to kill me, at least let me say goodbye to my daughter. He hesitated, then nodded. We went upstairs. He unlocked the master bedroom. Claire was sitting on the bed. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. When she saw me, she stood up. Mom. I rushed to her. Hugged her. Are you okay? I whispered. I'm so sorry, Mom. I didn't know. I didn't know what he was doing. It's okay. It's not your fault. Derek stood in the doorway, watching. She knows, he said. I pulled back, looked at Claire. You know? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I found the messages. On his phone. He's been lying to me for years. Claire, Derek started. Shut up, she said. Her voice was shaking but firm. Just shut up. She turned back to me. He stole from me. From us. He's been gambling. Lying. And I think. She couldn't finish. What? I asked gently. I think he killed Dad. Derek stepped into the room. That's not true. Then why did Dad have all those files? Claire demanded. Why was he documenting everything you did? Because he was paranoid. No. Because he knew. He knew what you were. Derek raised the gun. Both of you. Downstairs. Now. Claire grabbed my hand. We went downstairs. Derek followed. In the living room, he pointed the gun at me. Sit. I sat. Claire stood next to me. Derek, please, she said. Let her go. I can't. Yes, you can. This isn't who you are. You don't know who I am. You're right. I don't. But I know you're not a murderer. I already am. The words hung in the air. Claire went pale. What? Derek's hand was shaking. I didn't want to. I didn't have a choice. Oh my God, Claire whispered. He was going to ruin everything. He was going to turn you against me. I had to. You killed my father. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Derek turned the gun toward her. Don't. I stood up. Derek, point that at me. Not her. Sit down, Evelyn. No. You want to shoot someone, shoot me. But leave Claire alone. He swung the gun back to me. Fine. Derek's finger was on the trigger. I could see the sweat on his forehead. The panic in his eyes. You really think killing me will fix this? I asked. It'll buy me time. No, it won't. Because the police already know everything. He froze. What? I've been recording you, Derek. For days. Every conversation. Every threat. It's all on tape. His eyes darted around the room, looking for the device. Where is it? Somewhere you'll never find it. and it's already been sent to the police. You're blinking. I'm not. He stepped closer. Pressed the gun against my chest. Tell me where it is. No. Tell me. Claire moved. Tried to grab his arm. He shoved her back. She hit the wall. Hard. I lunged at him. He turned. The gun went off. The sound was deafening. But I wasn't hit. The bullet went into the ceiling. Derek stumbled back, shocked. And that's when the front door crashed open. Police poured into the room. Sarah Ortiz was leading them. Drop the weapon. Now. Derek looked at the gun in his hand. At me. At Claire. Then he dropped it. They swarmed him. Forced him to the ground. Cuffed him. Sarah came over to me. Are you okay? I couldn't speak. Just nodded. Claire was crying. Shaking. I pulled her into my arms. It's over, I whispered. It's over. They took Derek outside. I sat on the couch, Claire next to me, wrapped in a blanket. Sarah sat across from us. We got everything, she said. The recordings. The bank records. All of it. Will it be enough? I asked. More than enough. He's going away for a long time. Claire was silent, staring at her hands. I should have known, she said quietly. You couldn't have known. I should have. All the signs were there. I didn't want to see them. That's not your fault. She looked at me. Eyes red. He killed Dad. I know. And I married him. I loved him. You didn't know what he was. But I should have. I took her hand. Claire, listen to me. None of this is your fault. Derek lied to you. He manipulated you. He's a monster. But you are not responsible for his actions. She started crying again. I held her. Later, at the police station, they played the recordings for Derek. His voice. Threatening me. Admitting to the theft. And then the final recording. The one from the living room. I didn't want to. I didn't have a choice. What? He was going to ruin everything. He was going to turn you against me. I had to. You killed my father. I didn't have a choice. Derek sat there, cuffed to the table, listening to his own voice confess to murder. His lawyer tried to stop the playback. But it was too late. Sarah leaned forward. Tell us how you did it. Derek didn't answer. We'll find out eventually. Autopsy. Toxicology. It's all coming. You can make this easier on yourself by talking now. A long silence. Then Derek spoke. Digitalis, he said quietly. What? Digitalis. From foxglove plants. I grew them in the backyard. Dried the leaves. Ground them into powder. Sarah was writing everything down. How did you administer it? His coffee. Every morning for 2 weeks. Small doses. Enough to cause arrhythmia, but not enough to be obvious. My stomach turned. And the morning he died? I gave him a larger dose. Waited until Evelyn was in the shower. Put it in his coffee. Watched him drink it. He was dead within an hour. Claire made a choking sound next to me. I put my arm around her. Why? Sarah asked. Because he was going to expose me. Because I needed more time. Because I thought if he was gone, I could fix everything. But you couldn't. Derek looked up. Met my eyes. No, he said. I couldn't. Derek was charged with first-degree murder. Theft. Fraud. Kidnapping. Assault. The trial lasted 3 months. I testified. Claire testified. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life without parole. When they read the verdict, Derek didn't react. Just stared straight ahead. Claire broke down. I held her hand through all of it. After the trial, we went back to my house. The house that had been too quiet. Too empty. But now, with Claire there, it felt different. We sat at the kitchen table. Thomas's coffee mug was still there. I'd never moved it. Claire picked it up. Turned it over in her hands. I miss him, she said. So do I. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. After he died. You were being controlled, Claire. That wasn't your fault. I should have seen it. We both should have. She set the mug down. What happens now? She asked. Now we heal. How? I didn't have an answer. But I knew we'd figure it out. Together. The next few months were hard. Claire moved back in with me. She couldn't stand being in the house she'd shared with Derek. We donated everything. Sold the house. Cut every tie. She started therapy. So did I. We talked about Thomas. About the signs we'd missed. About the guilt we both carried. It took time. But slowly things got easier. Claire got a job at a nonprofit. Started rebuilding her life. I started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, helping other women recognize the signs of abuse, sharing my story, helping them escape before it was too late. One evening, Claire and I were sitting on the porch. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. "I got something in the mail today," she said. "What?" She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. From the trust fund. The bank had recovered most of the money Derek had stolen. $320,000. "I don't want it," Claire said. "Why not?" "It's blood money. It's your money. Your father wanted you to have it. Dad wanted me to be safe. He wanted me to be happy. Then use it for that. Go back to school. Travel. Do something that makes you happy." She thought about it. "Maybe I will." We sat in silence for a while. Then Claire spoke again. "Do you think Dad knew? That it would end like this?" "I think he knew Derek was dangerous. I think he tried to protect us the only way he could. By leaving a trail. Yes. He was smart. He was. I wish I could thank him. He knows, sweetheart. Wherever he is, he knows." A year after Thomas's death, I went to his grave. It was a clear day. Warm. The kind of day Thomas would have loved. I brought flowers. White roses. His favorite. I sat down on the grass next to the headstone. "Hi," I said quietly. I knew it was silly, talking to a grave. But I didn't care. "I wanted you to know we're okay. Claire and I. We're making it." The wind rustled through the trees. "Derek's in prison. Life sentence. He confessed to everything." I traced my fingers over Thomas's name on the stone. "You were right. About all of it. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Tears started falling. "I miss you. Every day. The house is so quiet without you." I wiped my eyes. "But I'm not giving up." "You didn't give up, so neither will I." I stood up, placed the roses on the grave. "Thank you," I whispered, "for protecting us. Even after you were gone." I turned to leave. And then I saw her. Claire. Standing at the edge of the cemetery. Watching me. I walked over to her. "I didn't know you were coming," I said. "I wanted to. I wasn't sure I was ready. Are you ready now?" She nodded. We walked back to the grave together. Claire knelt down, touched the headstone. "Hi, Dad," she said softly. I gave her space. Watched as she said whatever she needed to say. When she was done, she stood up. Her eyes were red, but she was smiling. "I told him I'm going back to school," she said. "You are?" "Yeah. Psychology. I want to help people like us." "He'd be proud." "I hope so." We walked out of the cemetery together. And for the first time in a year, I felt something other than grief. I felt hope. People ask me sometimes how I did it. How I went from being a grieving widow to catching a murderer. And I tell them the truth. I didn't do it alone. Thomas left me the tools. The evidence. The trail. But I had to be willing to follow it. I had to be willing to see the truth, even when it was ugly. Even when it hurt. Even when it meant confronting the fact that my daughter's husband had killed the man I loved. People think strength is about being fearless. It's not. Strength is being terrified and doing it anyway. Strength is sitting in a storage room, reading your dead husband's journal, and realizing he knew he was being poisoned. Strength is looking your son-in-law in the eye and pretending you don't know he's a murderer. Strength is recording every word, every threat, every lie, because you know it's the only way to protect your daughter. Strength is standing in a room with a gun pointed at your chest and refusing to back down. I didn't feel strong. Most days I felt terrified. But I kept going. Because I had to. Because Claire needed me. Because Thomas had given me a gift, the truth, and I owed it to him to use it. But there's something I haven't told you. Something I've kept to myself. Even after everything. Even after Derek was convicted. Even after Claire moved on with her life. There's a part of me that still wonders. What if I'd seen it sooner? What if I'd paid more attention to the signs? What if I'd asked more questions when Claire started pulling away? Could I have saved Thomas? That's the question that keeps me up at night. Not, did we get justice? We did. Not, is Derek paying for what he did? He is. But could I have stopped it before it happened? The therapist says I can't think like that. She says I'm not responsible for Derek's actions. That there's no way I could have known. But I'm a mother. And I saw my daughter suffering. I saw the changes in her. The weight loss. The anxiety. The way Derek controlled her. And I told myself it was just marriage. Just normal couple stuff. But it wasn't. And part of me knew that. I think Thomas knew it too. I think that's why he started investigating. Because he saw what I didn't want to see. that our daughter was married to a monster. And now I carry that with me. Every day. The knowledge that I could have done more. Should have done more. But I didn't. And Thomas paid the price. 6 months after the trial, Claire came to me. We were having dinner. Just the two of us. She'd been quiet all evening, picking at her food. Finally, she spoke. "Mom, I need to tell you something." I set down my fork. "What is it?" I knew. My heart stopped. "You knew what?" "About Derek. About the gambling. About the money." I couldn't breathe. "When?" "Not all of it. Not about Dad. But the gambling. I knew about that." "For how long?" "A year. Maybe more." "Why didn't you say anything?" Tears started falling down her face. "Because I was ashamed. Because I thought I could fix it. Because he kept promising he'd stop." "Oh, Claire." "And when Dad started asking questions, Derek told me Dad was trying to break us up. He said Dad didn't like him. That Dad was making things up to turn me against him. And you believed him." "I wanted to believe him. Because the alternative was too awful." She covered her face with her hands. "I chose him over Dad. I chose a liar over my own father. And now Dad's dead, and it's my fault." I stood up, walked around the table, pulled her into my arms. "It's not your fault." "Yes, it is." "No. Derek manipulated you. He lied to you. He made you doubt your own father. That's what abusers do. But I should have known better. You were being controlled, Claire. You can't blame yourself for that." She sobbed into my shoulder. And I held her. Because that's what mothers do. We hold our children when they break. Even when we're broken too. A month after Claire's confession, I found another letter. It was tucked into one of Thomas's old books. A biography of Churchill he'd been reading before he died. The envelope had my name on it. In his handwriting. I sat down on the bed and opened it. "Evelyn, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't tell you what was happening. I'm sorry I kept secrets. I'm sorry I left you to deal with this alone. But I need you to understand why. Derek is dangerous. More dangerous than you know. I've documented everything. The theft. The gambling. The threats. It's all in the lockbox at Bill Morrison's office. But Evelyn, there's something else. Something I couldn't put in the journal. I think Derek is going to kill me. I know how that sounds. I know you'll think I'm paranoid. But I'm not. He's threatened me. Multiple times. He's told me that if I go to the police, I'll regret it. And I've been having symptoms. Heart palpitations. Dizziness. Nausea. I went to the doctor. He says it's stress. But I don't think it is. I think Derek is poisoning me. I can't prove it. Not yet. But if I'm right, if I'm dead when you read this, you need to know. You need to protect Claire. She doesn't see who he really is. She's blinded by love. By hope. By the idea that she can fix him. But she can't. And if I'm gone, she's going to need you. Please, Evelyn. Don't let her blame herself. Don't let her think this is her fault. It's not. It's Derek's. And only Derek's. I love you. I've loved you since the day we met. 41 years of marriage. 41 years of waking up next to the most amazing woman I've ever known. I don't regret a single day. Even now. Even knowing what's coming. I don't regret it. Because I got to spend my life with you. And that's more than most people ever get. Take care of Claire. Take care of yourself. And know that I'm proud of you. For everything you've done. For everything you will do. I love you, Evelyn. Forever. Thomas. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully. Put it back in the envelope. And cried. 2 years after Thomas's death, Claire got married again. To a kind man named Marcus. A teacher. Patient. Gentle. The opposite of Derek in every way. I walked her down the aisle. It was a small ceremony. Just close friends and family. No drama. No secrets. Just love. When I placed her hand in Marcus's, I whispered to her. Your father would be so proud. She smiled through her tears. I know. The reception was beautiful. Claire laughed more than I'd seen her laugh in years. She danced. She smiled. She looked happy. Really, genuinely happy. And I realized something. We'd made it. We'd survived. Derek had tried to destroy us. He'd killed Thomas. Stolen from Claire. Tried to break us apart. But he'd failed. Because we were stronger than he ever understood. Not because we were fearless. Not because we were perfect. But because we refused to give up. On each other. On ourselves. On the truth. Later that night, after the guests had left, Claire and I sat outside. The stars were out. It was quiet. "Thank you, Mom," she said. "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For believing me. For saving me." "I didn't save you, sweetheart. You saved yourself. We saved each other." I nodded. Because she was right. We had. So here's what I want you to understand. If you're watching this because you're going through something similar, if you're in a relationship that doesn't feel right, if someone is controlling you, manipulating you, isolating you from the people who love you, if you've seen red flags but convinced yourself you're overreacting, listen to me. You're not overreacting. Trust your instincts. They're trying to protect you. I ignored mine for too long. I told myself Claire was fine. That Derek was just stressed. That Thomas was being paranoid. And Thomas died. I can't get him back. But you still have time. You can still get out. You can still save yourself. And if you're a mother, a father, a friend, a sibling, watching someone you love suffer in a relationship that's hurting them, don't stay silent. Don't assume they'll figure it out. Don't wait until it's too late. Speak up. Ask questions. Offer help. Even if they push you away. Even if they defend the person hurting them. Keep trying. Because one day they might be ready to listen. And when that day comes, you need to be there. Thomas was there for me. Even after he died. He left me the tools I needed to fight back. To protect our daughter. To get justice. And I'll be forever grateful for that. But I'd trade all of it. The justice, the conviction, the closure. I'd trade it all to have him back. To have one more morning. One more cup of coffee. One more conversation. That's the truth. Justice doesn't heal the wound. It just gives you something to hold on to while you learn to live with the scar. Claire and I started a foundation in Thomas's name. It helps victims of financial abuse. Provides legal resources. Counseling. Support. We've helped over 200 families in the past year. 200 people who were being controlled, manipulated, stolen from. We gave them the tools to fight back. Just like Thomas gave me. Every time I meet with someone, I see myself. I see that fear. That confusion. That desperate hope that maybe they're wrong. That maybe things aren't as bad as they seem. And I tell them the same thing every time. Trust yourself. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. What you're feeling is real. And then I help them build a plan. Document the evidence. Find safe spaces. Protect their assets. Get out. It's not easy. It's never easy. But it's possible. And it's worth it. Because on the other side of that fear is freedom. On the other side of that pain is peace. On the other side of that darkness is light. I know. Because I've been there. I've walked through hell. And I came out the other side. Changed. Scarred. But alive. And stronger than I ever thought possible. People call me brave now. They say I'm an inspiration. That I'm strong. But I don't feel brave. I feel like a woman who lost her husband. Who almost lost her daughter. Who had to become someone she never wanted to be just to survive. I didn't want to be a detective. I didn't want to set traps. I didn't want to record conversations and play mind games with a murderer. I just wanted my husband back. I wanted my quiet life. My boring, predictable, safe life. But that's not what I got. And I had to make a choice. Collapse under the weight of it all. Or fight. I chose to fight. Not because I'm special. Not because I'm fearless. But because the alternative was unacceptable. The alternative was letting Derek win. Letting him kill Thomas and get away with it. Letting him destroy Claire. Letting him walk free while we suffered. I couldn't live with that. So I fought. And if you're facing something like this, you can fight too. You can stand up to the person hurting you. You can gather evidence. You can get help. You can escape. It won't be easy. It will be the hardest thing you've ever done. But you can do it. I believe in you. Because if a 57-year-old widow with no training and no experience can take down a murderer, you can take down whoever is hurting you. You can reclaim your life. You can find your strength. You can survive. And on the other side of survival is something even better. Living. It's been 3 years since Thomas died. 3 years since I found that lockbox. 3 years since I learned the truth. And I still miss him. Every single day. I miss the way he'd hum while making coffee. The way he'd leave his shoes by the door. The way he'd kiss my forehead before bed. I miss the sound of his voice. The warmth of his hand in mine. The safety I felt knowing he was there. I'll never stop missing him. But I've learned to live with the grief. To carry it without letting it crush me. To honor his memory by living the life he wanted for me. A life of purpose. Of helping others. Of fighting for what's right. Claire is thriving now. She has a husband who loves her. A job she's passionate about. A future that's bright. And every time I see her smile, I think of Thomas. I think about how proud he'd be, how much he'd love Marcus, how happy he'd be knowing that she's okay. That we're okay. We did it, Thomas. We survived. We fought back. We won. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure other people can do the same. That's my promise to you. That's my legacy. And if you're watching this, if you're going through something dark, something terrifying, something you don't think you can survive, you can. I promise you. You can. Don't give up. Don't stop fighting. Don't let them win. Because you are stronger than you know. And you deserve better. You deserve freedom. You deserve peace. You deserve a life without fear. And it's waiting for you. On the other side of this darkness. All you have to do is take the first step. Reach out. Ask for help. Tell someone. And start building your escape. I did it. Claire did it. And you can too. There's one last thing I need to tell you. Something I've never told anyone. Not even Claire. The day Derek held that gun to my chest. The day the police burst in. The day it all ended. I wasn't scared. I should have been. But I wasn't. Because I knew something Derek didn't. The recording device I'd been wearing for 6 days? It had a live feed. Patricia had set it up. A direct connection to Detective Ortiz's phone. She'd been listening to everything. In real time. Every threat. Every word. Every confession. The moment Derek pulled out that gun, she sent the tactical team. They were outside the house within minutes. Waiting for the right moment. And when he fired that shot into the ceiling, they moved. So I knew. Even with a gun pointed at me. Even with Derek's finger on the trigger. I knew help was coming. I knew I just had to stall. Keep him talking. Keep him confessing. And he did. He told me everything. How he'd poisoned Thomas. How he'd stolen from Claire. How he'd planned to kill me too, if I didn't give him what he wanted. All of it recorded. All of it admissible in court. And that's why he's in prison. Not just because of the physical evidence. Not just because of the bank records. But because of his own words. His own confession. Caught on tape. Forever. Thomas would have appreciated the irony. Derek thought he was so smart. Thought he could manipulate everyone. Control everything. But in the end, his own arrogance destroyed him. He talked too much. Confessed too much. Believed too much in his own ability to get away with it. And that was his downfall. So that's my story. The story of how a 57-year-old widow took down a murderer. The story of how I lost my husband. Saved my daughter. And found a strength I didn't know I had. It's not the story I wanted. It's not the life I planned. But it's the life I have. And I'm making the most of it. Every day, I wake up in that same house. The house where Thomas died. Where I cried over his coffee mug. Where I discovered the truth. And I choose to keep going. I choose to honor his memory. I choose to help others. I choose to fight. Because that's what Thomas would want. That's what Claire needs. And that's what I owe to everyone who's ever been hurt by someone they trusted. If you take nothing else from this story, take this. You are not alone. Whatever you're going through, whatever darkness you're facing, you are not alone. There are people who care. People who will believe you. People who will help you. You just have to reach out. You just have to ask. And if you don't know where to start, start here. Tell someone. Anyone. A friend. A family member. A counselor. A hotline. Just tell someone. Because secrets protect abusers. Silence enables them. And speaking up saves lives. It saved mine. It saved Claire's. And it can save yours too. So please. If you need help, get help. If you know someone who needs help, offer it. And if you're the one causing harm, stop. Get help. Change. Before it's too late. Before someone ends up like Thomas. Dead. Because of your choices. Your actions. Your violence. It doesn't have to be this way. There's always another choice. Always. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for caring. And if you're facing something like this, know that I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. And I know you can make it through. Because I did. And you're stronger than you think. I visit Thomas's grave every week now. Sometimes I bring flowers. Sometimes I just sit and talk. I tell him about Claire. About the foundation. About the people we've helped. I tell him that I'm okay. That we're okay. That he can rest. Because we're carrying on his fight. His legacy. His love. And sometimes when the wind blows just right, I swear I can hear him. Telling me he's proud. Telling me he loves me. Telling me to keep going. And I do. Every single day. I keep going. For him. For Claire. For me. For everyone who's ever felt trapped, helpless, afraid. I keep going. Because that's what survivors do. We survive. We heal. We help others. And we make damn sure that the people who hurt us don't win. Derek didn't win. He's in a cell. Alone. Paying for what he did. While Claire is free. Happy. Living the life she deserves. And I get to watch her thrive. I get to see her smile. I get to be her mother. That's the victory. Not the conviction. Not the justice. The fact that we survived. That we're still here. Still fighting. Still loving. Still living. That's what matters. And that's what I want you to remember. No matter how dark it gets. No matter how hopeless it seems. There is always light on the other side. Always hope. Always a chance to start over. To heal. To live again. You just have to hold on. Just a little longer. Help is coming. Freedom is coming. Peace is coming. I promise. My name is Evelyn. I'm 57 years old. And I'm a survivor. Just like you can be. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are stronger than you know.